It might be a while before I have anything to really talk about here with regard to future cycles and just whatever is next. But I feel like I'm having a hard time with this period of time without making this video now. I know there's no deadline for talking about this kind of thing, and there certainly is no obligation, but I just feel like if I do this now, maybe it will give me just that much more breathing room and that much more of an ability to keep going. Today is probably not the best day to do this because today is one of the hard days, and yesterday would have probably been more appropriate because I was feeling a little better, and but that comes and goes, and there's no way to really predict if it will happen or when it will happen, that I'll just suddenly feel the effects of everything or let myself think too much. What is probably the best strategy for me, and I know that this is not, what some people would think is healthy in a lot of circumstances, but for me personally, it's just so much easier to completely distract myself and drown out any thoughts I have whatsoever. Because this is not a tragedy. It hurts a lot. But it was the greatest success we've ever had. And I think what I'm mourning right now is the feeling of joy and feeling like I could finally believe the unbelievable. What I'm mourning right now is my husband's reaction and my husband's broken heart, and the moments where I remember something that I was doing a week ago or a place that I went a week ago, and just knowing how much happier I was then. And I have to stress, and I can't articulate it. I can't put into words how grateful I am that we got it that far. And miscarriage, when it happens, is horrible. Miscarriage in the infertility community can feel like a greater loss because of what it took to achieve it. The time, the finances. I mean, in some cases, we're talking thousands of dollars and so many tears. But in the end, regardless of how easy or difficult it was to achieve pregnancy, when it ends abruptly, there is no comparing the void that you feel going from that extreme amount of joy to just feeling like someone took the air right out of your lungs. And my heart has always ached so badly for women who've experienced miscarriage because of my own fears of experiencing it myself. But now that I have to tell you, if it had to happen, why not at 5 weeks? I couldn't imagine having seen a baby or heard a heartbeat or gotten to 10, 15, 20 weeks and then have something like that happen. That is a tragedy. And I feel so empowered by what we achieved that I can't let myself focus so much on the loss, because some of you might have known, I just knew something wasn't right. It started with my home pregnancy tests not getting any darker, and they were in fact getting a little bit lighter. And although there are a lot of women who will still to this day tell me that that's something that I can't focus on, it was the first indication that I thought, you have to start letting go just a little bit, just in case. But I still believed, and I listened to everyone's reasonings, and I just went about my life. I didn't let myself get too outrageously happy. In fact, I felt like I couldn't even speak the words. I couldn't even say, I'm pregnant. It just felt like it was too good to be true. And I just felt like I had to just hold my breath and get from one moment to the next, and then just appreciate that I had gotten that much further. But now the date escapes me. It might have been last Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know when it was, but I did post about it on Facebook. I woke up that morning, and it had been about, 24 hours at that point since I had felt any round ligament pain or any kind of discomfort or cramping in my stomach. That was the first morning that I didn't have any kind of slight like a butterfly or nauseous feeling in my stomach. And that continued throughout the day. The entire day, I felt nothing. And I know just from being involved in this community for as long as I have that doesn't mean anything, not necessarily. So I didn't let it worry me, but the later in the day it got, the more it frustrated me that I was starting to almost look for signs that things were okay and I wasn't feeling anything. I went to dinner with my sister, and when we got home that night, I had very sudden, very strong, like rolling cramps for the first time since any of this had started. It was a very intense but brief period of cramping. It was probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And that might not seem like it's a short period of time to you, but to me, for what it was and for what I guess I was kind of thinking would happen, was that I'd feel that way for a while, or that was normal. And when it stopped and I went to the bathroom before bed, I could just tell when I wiped that there was going to be blood. And I guess I wasn't prepared for that, but I had just said to my sister earlier that day, so many women experience blood when they have a viable pregnancy that it almost makes me nervous that I haven't had any bleeding yet. I said, I know that sounds crazy, but, these are the things that go through your mind. When I saw it, I decided, which I know this might sound crazy. This is not the first time I've done this. I've done this with blood clots or with other things. I took a picture of it. I took a picture of the toilet paper, mainly just because I thought and this is just because in situations with like doctors or with anything where I've had to explain something again, I doubt my memory, and then I don't know if I'm remembering things correctly. So I like to have a picture in case I need to reference it for any reason. And I thought, well, I'll just delete it in a couple of days. I'm sure it's fine. It's nothing, whatever. I never even looked at it. I took the picture and I just went about my business. That night, I usually drink a lot of water at night, so I normally have to get up to pee 3, 4, 5 times before I really get to falling into sleep. And each time I went, the blood was drier and drier, and it appeared that there was just that one gush, and that was all I was working with. It was super dark and mostly clots, and everything after that subsequently was very, very dry and like a mauve color, and just it was looking like it was over. And I had said something on Facebook just extra reassurance, because I knew a lot of women experienced it, and I just thought it'd be nice to hear from them. And it turns out yesterday, well, I guess I should say, when I got the call about my blood work levels and my HCG dropping, I was 6 minutes away from having to leave for my aunt's wedding, and I just kind of took the information in, and I had to just not feel it because I had somewhere to be. I had just put makeup on. I was on my way out the door. And what I was told at that point was, your progesterone went up, but your HCG dropped, so we don't know what that means. It could be a biochemical, or it could be perfectly fine, so we'll find out more on Monday. Now, here's where my train of thought really protected me. And this is not how a lot of women would want me to react or would have liked to hear that I reacted, but I feel like if I hadn't done this, Monday I would have been so devastated. But I basically heard those words as, you're no longer pregnant. If I had gone in on Monday thinking that there was still a chance that things were okay, I would have just been devastated, because the look on everyone's face when they saw me, everyone was hugging me and saying they were sorry. And if I had gone in there with a glimmer of hope and then saw how they were reacting, it would have just completely kicked me in the gut. I mean, not to say it didn't still hurt, but I went in there feeling the same way they all were, that it was over, and they were right. Saturday night, I took a pregnancy test and it was negative. And Sunday afternoon, I took one as well. Now, my first initial thinking, and I don't even know if this is possible, but when I saw that blood on Thursday, Wednesday, whenever it happened, I thought that was implantation from a second embryo. I thought my first test was one of them, and it climbed and dropped off, and then the other one had implanted and was only just starting, which is why the number was close to my first number, was 39 again. So I was still holding on to hope that somehow that was just a really, really late implantation, and that I lost one, but I still had the other. But when I saw the negative pregnancy test, I thought, well, clearly now, by then my HCG levels wouldn't be 39. They would be closer to 60 or higher if things were okay, which means I would still get a positive pregnancy test. So when I saw that, I knew that that meant it was lower than 39, or it was 39 was before also, when I was still getting negative tests the first time. So I was able to just, starting on Saturday afternoon when I got the call, and then officially Saturday evening when I saw that negative test, I was able to just fully absorb the gravity of the situation and deal with it. And as you guys know, I have that, give myself one day to cry and then move the hell on theory about cycles. I know this one's different. I know that's different. And it's okay. I'm not going to be too hard on myself, if I have a tough day or if I have a tough moment. But Sunday was really hard. Sunday was awful. I got cards and texts, and not that many people know, but the few who did, I haven't even opened my cards yet, and I just can't even. It's over, So I do celebrate the fact that it happened, because that was 7 years in the making, or longer. Mike and I basically welcomed the idea of a pregnancy through our whole relationship, because even prior to being married, we just didn't prevent. Yesterday I looked at that picture. I was going through pictures in my phone, and once or twice a week I usually delete pictures or videos that I don't need anymore. And when I came across that, I looked at it, and my gestational sac was on that tissue, and I didn't even notice. One of them, anyway, or if there was only one, or whatever, but Basically, just to confirm what I somehow missed, which was right before my eyes, I Googled it. And I'm not going to post the picture here or anything, but if you do Google miscarriage gestational sac or miscarriage yolk sac, there is a picture from a website about autopsies that comes up. It's one of the first pictures, and it's very much so like a blood clot and a large bubble that looks just like what was on the paper, the tissue paper that I had a picture of, except the one in that photo was, I believe, from 7 or 9 weeks or something, so it was larger, and that's exactly how much larger it probably would have been for what I had. So that means that day when I had that gush of blood, I passed a gestational sac, and I could see it right there in the picture. How I didn't notice it that day and how I didn't notice it when I took the picture, I don't know, but it was shocking. It was right there in front of me, and I thought I didn't even see it. So what we usually do at this point is look forward. We look to our next cycle and we look to our next plan. There's a lot of anticipation for our frozen cycle because we've never had one before. I foolishly thought that it was going to be a very brief affair, but it sounds like it's going to be 5 or 6 weeks leading up to it. And that feels like a really long time. So it isn't really much shorter or shorter at all than a fresh cycle. It's just different drugs. And the nurse that I saw on Monday recommended that I wait until I have to go back on Friday to confirm that my blood work's down to 0. And the true gift in all of this is that I don't have to have a DNC, which I was afraid of, and my numbers never got high enough. So not only is it wonderful enough that it happened, but it happened in as ideal a way as it probably could have. So I don't know, my heart goes out to women who've had to experience that, especially multiple times. It's just insult to injury, you know. But now I have to wait to bleed, which I've been anticipating. It just won't happen. And I'm anticipating it'll be a bad bleed, but I go back to see if my numbers are 0 or close on Friday. They were only 5 on Monday, so I'd like to think that I'll be at 0 then. And then they said it's only a matter of time before I will bleed, and then after that, wait the 2 or 3 weeks to get my own cycle day 1 period on my own, or obviously metformin assisted, and then start. If I don't get a period in a month, I can start without it, they said, but the nurse said that it would be nice to give my body a chance to rest. I don't know the science behind it. I've heard women say their doctors want them to wait 2 cycles, 3 cycles. Some doctors say to do it right away. And I guess it's just a matter of opinion or whatever the patient prefers. I, at this point, don't really have a preference. I guess I will plan for using cycle day 1 of my period after I shed the lining I have now. It just makes it feel so far away. And I know it'll be here any day now. It'll be here before I know it. Don't wish your life away. Don't wish the summer away, but it's just easier said than done. It's our last chance. It's all we have left are these 2 embryos that are frozen. And after that, we have to win the lottery or something. So there's a lot riding on it, and I don't want to put pressure on myself or make myself feel uncomfortable or stressed. I'm just going to prepare as well as I can mentally for tomorrow. And then tomorrow I'll work on the next day, and that's all I can do. So I feel good, though. I feel better than I thought I would. Sometimes I feel ashamed that I don't feel worse, But I feel like I never truly believed it. And so when it was taken away from me, I just thought, well, yeah, of course. It wasn't even real to begin with. I think that's just my mind trying to protect me. But I know I'm not okay yet because I don't really want to see anybody or talk to anybody or other than Mike and my sister, I feel really, really good being alone and just processing everything, So I know I'll come out of that. I know I will. I've been going for a few long drives, just playing music and just driving around. Not much of a destination. If I go somewhere, then I might see somebody, And I don't know what's harder, is seeing people who know or seeing people who never knew. I'm avoiding it altogether. And I'm just focusing on getting to tomorrow. So I just wanted to touch base with you guys because I've been overwhelmed by how supportive and loving you guys all are. And you don't even know me. I don't know how women go through this without people like you to talk them through it and to talk them to the next step. And I just couldn't face you guys the last couple of times. So I made text videos and you treated me just like it was still me, and it felt like just one big embrace, and I really appreciate that. So it's been bothering me that I haven't sat down to talk to you or talk myself through what happened and talk about it at all, because this does a lot for me too, to just verbalize it, because I don't really talk about it to anybody or with anyone. But I promise you, I'm doing everything that I need to make myself feel as good as I can, and I'm being responsible. I'm not, drinking milkshakes for breakfast or anything like that. I'm just taking time out for me. I'm relaxing as much as I can, drinking a ton of water, trying to stay hydrated, and trying to just block everything out. I don't want to think too much. I don't want to focus too much on what could go wrong next, or, what if my embryos don't make freeze, or what if I just can't think of any of that stuff. All it does is make things worse. So I'm just blocking it out, and it's going well so far. So I have my appointment Friday, and then after that point, I don't know when I'll have any kind of update for you. I have videos that I already recorded for my other channel that I need to edit. Some of them are really late and kind of irrelevant now, but it might be kind of comforting and something to do, to block it all out. So I might just be using that channel for a little while as like a positive, I don't know, way to reach out to the outside world without having to actually see anybody, and to just keep in touch with you guys in some way. But otherwise, I'm looking at, whenever my period comes for that cycle, that being when our FET is, and just getting to there from here. So thank you again, you guys. And when I got something for you,